everyone so engaged today. And I'd like to call my co-host. My name is Ricky Garcia.
And I am Grace, and we are from
The Philippines.
Thank you very much for that energy. I love that.
Okay, so we would like to welcome everyone as we are waiting for the others. We hope that you had a refreshing and enjoyable lunch break. And so this afternoon, we would like to inspire everyone by presenting a very dynamic team. Grace?
Yes, I hope you are ready. For those who are joining us, please feel free to sit in front because we want to populate the seats first. And we are excited to kick off our afternoon session with programs that promises to be both enlightening and empowering. So our first session is on articulate leadership, and we have two distinguished speakers who are in this field.
And then joining me is Sarili Alcaraz this afternoon is a very engaging and knowledgeable Mr. Edwin, who will be part of this afternoon's program.
Yeah, so let me just share something about our speakers, our two speakers. So Sarili Alcaraz, I'm sure some of you already know her. She's recognized as one of the top 100 most influential Filipinos on LinkedIn. She also brings invaluable insights into leadership and coaching, making her a prominent voice in the world of skill development.
So please join us in giving a welcome, warm welcome to Miss Sarili Alcaraz.
Okay, so in a while, just after Sarili, we will also like to introduce your second speaker. He is the co-author and of Power Speaking and Executive Presence. He's also a passionate international trainer and facilitator with more than 20 years of experience across the Asia-Pacific region. So again, warm round of applause to our two distinguished speakers, Sarili and Edwin Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Ricky, for this wonderful words of encouragement. We feel very much uplifted, and we hope we don't disappoint the two of you. Salam Sejahtera to my fellow Malaysians, and a very good afternoon to all of you. 2 o'clock in the afternoon is a terrible time to be having sessions, agree? But do you know from experience, this is the time that trainers love the most. Do you know why? Because everything that Sarili and I say after this, you'll probably be nodding in agreement. So let's start by getting on the mental alertness. Now I'm going to ask my assistant, Samuel, would you like to come up here? And ask the rest of you to be outstanding. This is just to make sure that we are mentally alert. And it's a very simple game. All I will do is I will say 1, Samuel, 1, and he will say, and I'll say 3. And the minute I finish saying 3, Samuel starts. I'll say 2, Samuel says 3. Got it? Good. Now, try it out. Find a partner. 1, 2, 3. Just that. Try it. Find a partner. And we'll go progressively more difficult. Right? Person says 1. Person says 2. Say 3. It's like 1. further. Instead of, now I'm going to clap, that's one, right? And instead of saying two, my partner Samuel will bow. All right, and then I say three. Now, Sam has got to clap for one. Instead of saying two, I will bow. She says three, right? I now clap for one. Samuel bows. I say three. You got that? You replace one with a clap. You replace two with a bow. Let's give it a try. Thank you all very much. Let me begin. There is a saying that if you can speak well, you can influence. And when you influence, you change lives. Now, that's what leadership is all about, influence, isn't it? And as leaders here, we need you to be able to influence people in the way you speak, by being articulate in the way you speak, so that you can influence. Because articulate leaders, leaders who speak well, leaders who have the right choice of words at the right time, leaders who use words to inspire, to motivate, they have this ability to really get people going. So this afternoon, therefore, we are going to have a very short little journey into what articulate speaking is all about. It doesn't matter whether we speak in our national language, to my fellow Malaysians, kalau kita cakap dalam bahasa Malaysia, we need to be fluent. If we speak in English, we need to be fluent. If we speak in Mandarin, the demands are still there. So leaders who can be very articulate in the way they speak can affect the behavior and the thinking of others. And that is what we want to try to achieve in this very short journey this afternoon. Yeah. This program actually was structured based on the book that Dr. Peter Chi and I, is my Sifu here. Dr. Peter, is he around? Yeah. There we are. We wrote this book called Power Speaking, communicating at the level of head and heart, communicating for maximum effect. Right? And we want this because it reflects a passion of ours. For the two of us who've been in the training arena for the last 30 years or so, and I'm sure it reflects the passion of Sarah Lee, that we want to be able to pass this on and to help leaders like you to be more visible in your organization because of the way you speak. Now remember, every leader needs to exude what we call leadership or executive presence. Every leader needs that. And this leadership or executive presence consists mainly, about 67%, of your gravitas, the way you behave. 28% consists of the way you communicate. And the rest 5% is the way you appear. So, as leaders, we can all be very good in the way we behave. Our behavior, our gravitas may be strong. Yeah, we are decisive, we are cool in crisis, and so on and so forth. We've got all the great behavioral traits of good leaders. But what happens if you cannot articulate? If you cannot communicate clearly, convincingly, and confidently? And that's what we are addressing this afternoon. To be able to So we want to be able to understand this word articulation. And then to develop, or we'll show you the way to developing word power and fluency. Because word power and fluency form the core of your articulation skills. To be able to know the right word, use the right word, have a good vocabulary, and to pronounce and to sound your words in a way that your audience picks up, hears, understands. Well, overcoming fears and anxieties, this is just a refresher, because I think most of you will all have been through that, how to overcome fear. If you see the last part about writing and delivery, again, you may be a great writer. You can write a great speech, a great briefing. But what happens if you don't match it with good delivery? So they complement each other, don't they? To be able to write and to be able to deliver, to speak. Finally, of course, we have connecting and engaging skills, and I'll hand you over to a very real expert on that later. Now, in the fashion of what Simon Sinek has stated in his book, yeah, start with why. And so we are starting this program with why. Why have we come up with this program? Well, it's recognizing the presence of leadership in this room. It's recognizing the fact that to exude your leadership presence, you have to leverage not only on your gravitas, but on your communication skills as well. So we are looking more into the element of communication. And we want to help leaders to be more masterful in the way they speak. To be very, very masterful in the way they choose their words, and how they can use words to connect, to inspire, to motivate, to do everything that a leader is called to do and to be. So that's why. Then, of course, we'll deal with the what. What's articulation? And what are its features? And so on. And then, of course, we'll tell you how. How do we go about articulating? So that's the approach we have. And so, I'm going to hand you now over to my partner. Please welcome Sarah Lee for the next one.
And so with that, everyone, do you remember this? Okay. I know, but let's go Mentimeter. It's nice to have everybody come in. So these are the instructions. You can scan the QR code, and I will give you instructions. All right? And hang on, I'm just waiting until more or less everybody has gone through this. And I will now present. Okay. In a moment, let me do this. So that we are seeing this one. You are on the stage. Everybody, can you give me a like? Yeah, let's do the like button. Okay. Hang on. I just want to make sure that we are here. There you go. Okay. So in a moment, I will be presenting this one. Okay. There you go. Everyone here, I have about 73 Homo sapiens now on the Menti. Yes? All right. So let's do this. Very simple yes and no answers. All right? Do you sometimes stumble for the right word or words to use? Okay. Are you seeing the questions also on your phone? Anyone needs the instructions again? You're good? Do let us know. Just in case, you could also join us through thementi.com and use the code. There is no answer? One brave soul. It's okay. We wouldn't know who you are. So congratulations. Okay, okay, okay. Are we good? This is what I'll do. So I won't have people influence you. Okay, we will hide it a bit. All right, let's go to number 2. Okay, and this time I will hide. Are your thoughts muddled in some situations? Okay. So it's like muddy, right? Are your thoughts muddled in some situations? If you notice, I hid the response, right? So no influence. Okay, and okay. All right, 65. Okay, I can reveal. Dadan. Okay, look at the molecules. Okay. Now I'm regretting, you should have seen it come, one by one. But about 73 yeses, 4 brave souls. Not muddled, right? When it comes to their thoughts. Okay. Still good? I have 5 questions. Let's go to the 3rd. Okay. And I will hide. When you speak, do you sometimes use words unintentionally? Sometimes, that wasn't the word that you want, but it's the word that came out. How many of you sometimes, like, you want to get back the words, and then you go, cannot, physically. All right, let's see. How does it look like? And we go, ta-da! About 64 yeses. Oh, we have 12 intentional beings. No, I'm just kidding. Very good, right? And that's part of articulate leadership, isn't it? When we start using words more intentionally. What about number 4? This time I don't want to hide it anymore, okay? Are you structured and eloquent enough to be understood? Okay. Are you structured and eloquent enough to be understood? Yes? No? About 33 yeses, 45 yeses, 18 no's. Okay, 50 now and 20. So a little bit more structured. I think compared to the others, no? We have more, this is somehow, I think with even the years that we've been leaders, right? And, Edwin and I would always say, it's always, if in real estate, it's like location. If it's leadership, it's communication, right? Last one. Do you resort to fillers? Wow, you're meditating now. Actually, right? Those are all fillers. So yes. 50 and counting. I think the 12 might be coming from an organization that we are familiar with. Because there's an organization that will count the number of fillers. They actually call it a counter. They will count the number of us. How many is familiar with that organization? Okay. Toastmasters. Okay. So you will count the number of us and ums. I strongly remember when I was a Toastmasters, and sometimes I will tell the accounter, you just put 50 there, because I'm expecting to have 50 us. So you need to be more intentional. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating here. Let me turn you over to Edwin.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Let's hear it for Sarah. So I think we've achieved something in this first exercise. That's to suggest that, yes, these little habits of ours do affect our ability to be articulate and to communicate masterfully. Now, why articulate leadership? A very well-known Toastmaster, the late Gerald Ray, who was in fact instrumental in bringing the Toastmasters movement to the country. And he said to me one day, he said, Edwin, we all need to be good in the way we speak. We all need to be good in the way we speak. And you know, the higher you climb, the more visible you become in your organization. And people judge you from the way you speak. So we need to develop our ability to communicate and to communicate fluently. So why articulate? Have you not had situations when you've had to persuade some people to accept a suggestion of yours or an idea of yours? Or maybe some of you in leadership or management positions, you've got to convince or to persuade your people to accept change. It takes a lot of persuading, doesn't it? Because we're also resistant to change. But we need persuasive skills to accept or to help our people understand why change and why we must change. What about clarity? Have you experienced at times when somebody speaks to you and you're really not sure what the person is getting at because the words don't come through correctly, and sometimes not in the correct fashion, not in the correct grammar and so on. But we need clarity, because if we are to communicate, if we are to pass directives, instructions and so on, if leaders are to cast vision and to explain mission statements and so forth, we need clarity. Because without clarity, our people will not understand the vision. Without clarity, our people will not understand the mission. So that's important to develop. To inspire, to motivate. What has been your experience when you want to inspire one of your team members, or when you want to inspire your team? How do you motivate your team? What words do you think about? Have you ever had that situation? I just want to cite two simple examples. Martin Luther King, he inspired, he motivated people with that fantastic speech of his, I have a dream. And because he was so inspiring, he was so motivating, he led the Civil Rights March to Washington. Think of a former president of the United States, John Kennedy. And all he said was in his inauguration speech, ask not what America can do for you, what you can do for America. And that was very, very soul-stirring to a lot of Americans. And as a result, the American Peace Corps was formed. So we want to be able to inspire and to motivate, and only articulate leaders. Leaders who can find the right word at the right time, in the right tonality, will be able to achieve that ability to inspire and motivate. Influence, I need not explain that a bit more. The way you speak can influence the thinking of the other person. What about interpersonal relationships? One-on-one, one to a group. How well you speak, how well you get your message across will mean whether or not you succeed or you get the results that you so want. Right? So that's why we articulate. Benefits. I think there are plenty. If leaders articulate well, if supervisors can give good, clear instructions, that's efficiency. All right. Things get done, and things get done in the right way. Workflow becomes smoother because people understand what is required, and people understand the nature of what needs to be done, and how it is to be done, and the importance of doing it. So workflow falls into place. Then, of course, we have focus. I'm sure you, as a leader, would have experienced this. You give good, clear instructions, good, clear directives, and your team leader takes over. And you know that they can do a job well, because your instructions have been clear, your directives leave no room for doubt. And so you can rest assured that the normal day-to-day things which your team leaders will perform will do pretty well. They'll be all right. And what does it leave you as the leader with? It leaves you free to concentrate, to drive the vision, to drive the mission, to deal with more important things rather than to be involved in the nitty-gritty, the day-to-day things. All right? So that's efficiency with creative. Confidence. I have been training college students for the last 17 years. And one of the things that I've seen has been a direct result. Once they are able to communicate well, once they're able to articulate not only their thinking, but articulate in words, I see this tremendous sense of self-worth coming into play and a tremendous confidence with which they stand up to speak. And isn't this what we want to be as leaders? When we speak, don't we want to be able to stand up, take command, exude that leadership presence of ours, and people will say, wow, that's a leader. And that's the kind of leaders we want, especially as I address my fellow Malaysians. That's the kind of leadership we want to see in our beloved country. Good, great, articulate leadership to supplement their normal leadership behaviors. And finally, of course, there's growth. Yeah? The leader grows. And because he is an articulate leader, because he's got a growth mindset, he grows his people, he grows his team. And eventually it is the leader, the led, and the organization that grows. But it will all go back to the fact that here are leaders who know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. In other words, here are leaders who are articulate. So, what is articulation? Now, we've done the why. Now, what is it? Well, it's how you and I pronounce words, how we sound words. Now, again, I'm addressing my fellow Malaysians. English is not our language. I am proud as a Malaysian to say that Bahasa Malaysia is my language. It's our language, right? It is the language of the Malaysians. Now, some of you are from the Philippines, and you have your national language too. So, it's a question of, when we speak of articulation, we don't really just mean articulate and fluent in the English language. It's in all languages. It's required of us, in whatever language we speak, whatever is our mother tongue, that we've got to be very, very articulate. Now, as far as a Malaysian are concerned, again, I address my fellow Malaysians, English to me is a tool. It's not my language. I have a very English-sounding name, but that happens to be by my heritage, being a Eurasian of Champor, Sydney Champor, and people like me. But that's not my language. I am a Malaysian. Bahasa Malaysia is my language, and I am fluent in my Bahasa Malaysia. But I still use English because it's an international language. We are a global village. And so as Malaysians, you and I have got to be articulate in this language because it's a global village. And unless you and I can excel in our command of the English language, it's going to be very difficult to lead, very difficult to transact business and so on. Would you agree? Yes? Okay, good. So, it's a skill that can be learned. Like leadership. It's a skill that can be learned. And so what we're trying to do this afternoon is to point you in the direction in which you can continue. Because it will take commitment. It will take consistent practice. Yeah? It will take perseverance to continue to grow in your ability to be articulate leaders. Lots and lots of practice. Now, another exercise coming up. So whenever it comes to the hard work, I hand you over to
Thank you, Edwin. Actually, yours is the hard work. Thank you so much. All right. So now that Edwin has shared with us the how and a bit on the what, so this time to meet your fellow table mates. Do you know them already? Most likely, yes. Why? Human nature. I sit down with people that I know. So, well, you can actually kind of move a bit if there's only a few of you in the room. Because this one would be table discussion, right? If you see some more empty seats in the tables, feel free to join in. And the game plan here is to, if you don't know each other, obviously do a bit of introduction and then answer this question. What would I like to improve to be an articulate speaker? Okay? And then suddenly you go like, so what do I need to improve? Okay, well, Edwin and I thought we'll give you a checklist. Wouldn't that be better? Rather than, okay. So we would give you now a sheet, a slide, so to guide everybody. But feel free to take note of the key question. Okay? It's going to be a 5-minute discussion. What would I like to improve to be an articulate speaker? To be an articulate speaker. Are you good? At least one person in the table knows this. We're good. Okay, so what is the checklist? How does it look like? Ta-da! You have your speaker checklist here. So the key is, which of this do I need to work on some more? Which of these do I think maybe I'm not doing too much of this, right? So it becomes a checklist. I know we're tempted to say all of the above. Let's prioritize. Yeah? Maybe 1 or 2 would be awesome. Are we good? Yes? Your time starts now. Good, go, good. Okay, 2:36. We'll be done by 2:41. Okay, go, go, go.
Yes. Oh, no, that is discussion is for table. Right, so based on the list, I think the best way to go forward is individually you have to choose which one you would like to include. And then after that, you can discuss which one would you like to present. Because at the end of the one speaker will be presenting each side of it. Okay, so move forward. Okay, I'd like to improve for the pace, like slow down. Number 3.
Yes, I struggle with the pace. Never mind this, like it, correct very fast. So we don't get any information for it. So, yes, it's always I think so, yes.
Number 3,
In the speaking, the language is very important. I'm not good at English. So, which number?
Yes, I also always want to do things fast. Try to be efficient. Try to respect. You need to have the audience with you. You can start thinking for you. What about you?
What would I like to improve to be an articulate speaker?
Number 2 would be out. Number 2. So we would like to speak louder so that the teachers can hear you clearly.
Announce.
Yes, sir. Oh, the then you lost it after. Thank you very much. I think we are very diverse. Covers almost everything. With Leo, it's just it can be completed if he speaks slowly, pace, eye contact, and we need to somehow spend confidence in order for us to make the posture is just easy. We just have to like maintain that. Moderate. Also, teachers to spare with
Okay.
good morning, Sharon.
Who likes to share? Okay, it can be a summary, it can be like your own, right? Because you were kind of listening in. And let's welcome Lillian. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lillian, and my team is composed of Thoidong, Wayne, Edward, and Shasway. Thoidong is from Vietnam, and the rest are from Malaysia. So majority, number one, filler. I showed you an example. And the next one, humor. They want to learn humor, appropriate humor, and then pacing. Sometimes, most of them sometimes speak a lot, or fast, too fast, and audibility of the speech. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lillian. And good morning, groups.
I think we have one here, Sally.
Oh, we have one.
And one here also, sir.
And one here. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, I advise need to focus the fillers.
Fillers.
Other than this is eye contact sometimes is in terms of audible or breathing. So we need to improve on the high note and low note.
Okay. Right, good. Thank you very much. So, say this again. They need to be audible. They need to speak up and to speak out.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mabel. So I belong in this group, very diverse. And in our discussion, there are three of them said that they wanted to speak with loud, audible voice. Two said we wanted to slow down our speaking. So it's number 3, pace, and then another one is eye contact. So we had a very nice discussion because it's very much related to a speaker, especially when you're speaking in the public with a lot of people. Sometimes you tend to be nervous and you tend to speak faster, and that's what we wanted to stop. We wanted to control the pace, and also we don't want to speak so low so that we want the audience to understand me. And another one is we don't want to look over the head of our audience because when we look at them, we tend to be nervous. So we try to do eye contact as well. So that's what we have discussed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Edwin.
Thank you.
All right.
So thank you very much for sharing at your respective tables. What you experience or some of the limitations that you have is not new. Okay? Many of us go through that. It's a challenge. But as I shared with some people, you just be a bit more conscious about it and put it into practice. And the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. And the less of it. Right, so common speaking limitations. I just made a list there. See again if you can identify with that. I normally have one observation in the past speaking courses that I conduct. And that's the last item, and that's the one that I'd like to focus on. Energy and enthusiasm. And this is the message I have. If you're a speaker, and if you're not excited about what you have to say, well, don't expect your audience to be excited, isn't it? If you don't have energy, don't expect your audience to be energized. And so it is incumbent on speakers. You can practice, you can have the best script, whatever possible. But when you deliver, amongst the other things that you need to remember about clarity, fluency, and so on and so forth, but speak with energy, speak with excitement, speak with enthusiasm. Your audience will not be excited, will not be enthusiastic about things, they will not be energized unless they see you, the speaker. And that's the best thing you can do for your audience, as I said. All right? So, we move on to the next one. The fear factor. Now, I don't propose to cover each item again, but this fear is real in many of us, in fact, in most of us. Some years ago, there was a census taken about the greatest fears that we, men and women, have. Fear of heights, fear of scorpions and snakes, fear of mother-in-law, whatever. But do you know what came out as two of the greatest fears? The fear of death. 19%. 19% said they feared death. 42% of people said they feared public speaking. What a difference, isn't it? They didn't fear death so much, they feared public speaking. 48%. You know, there was a comedian by the name of Jerry Seinfeld, and he interpreted this like this. He says, you know, you go to a friend's funeral, and suddenly somebody says to you, hey, would you like to say something? You would rather be in the coffin with your friend than to stand up and say a few words. So the fear of public speaking is very, very real. But I would like to focus on the middle part. This question of no desire for excellence. Again, it has been my common experience of teaching public speaking skills for the last 30-odd years. Somehow or other, there is this lack. We seem to be in a kind of a comfort zone. You know, that comfortable thing that says, I'm okay, Jack. It's the other guy who needs it. But it's not. It is this lack of desire to excel in whatever we do. And I often say, if you and I don't have this desire for excellence in everything we do, we can never be good leaders. We can never be professional leaders. So the desire for excellence has got to be prime. It's got to be part of our mindset. So build that desire, and you will find that it will help to spur you on into being a more articulate speaker and into being a more articulate leader. The desire for excellence. Language, no problem, and so on. Now, we are going to just change the scenery now. We're going to play a little video clip, and it is to do with leaders and public speaking. So let's listen to this one by Professor Alex Lyon. Take notes, it's a very relevant talk which applies to all of us in leadership and why good leaders need to be good speakers. I hope he hasn't got a dose of laryngitis or something.
Public speaking can be like an express for your career and your leadership influence. I've been saying for years that when people see you excel at public speaking, they'll say to themselves, that's a leader. And when I've explained this to my clients, people say, oh yeah, I never thought about it like that, it makes sense. The question is, why do we connect these two? Well, I'm going to explain 5 key ways public speaking demonstrates your leadership. And by the end, I hope this video motivates you to do as much public speaking as you can. This one video may completely redefine how you see your career develop. Be sure to download my free PDF that'll give you 7 instant tips to become a more confident speaker. There are links to that and other resources in the description below the video. The first reason is that public speaking physically positions you as the leader in the room. Public speaking makes you look and sound like a leader because, very simply, you are the one up there talking and other people are listening carefully to you. You're the spokesperson. You are selected to speak. on behalf of the organization or whatever interests you represent. That's leadership in action. When you're teaching, training others, explaining how things work in a presentation, this is a moment of visible leadership. Even if you're not the actual supervisor, other people will make that leadership association almost automatically. Let's pretend, for example, you're on vacation and you're staying at a big, fancy conference hotel. You decide to go to the hotel pool, you throw a towel over your shoulder, and you walk down the hall. On your way to the pool, you pass a packed conference room, and you notice one person up on the stage looking well-dressed, giving a presentation. You see about 200 people listening and taking notes. That's 200 listeners and one speaker. Which person in that room looks and sounds like a leader? The only individual you'd even notice would be the speaker. They're the only ones with leadership visibility. In movies and TV shows, when they want to quickly establish that somebody is a leader, they often show that character doing some public speaking. Public speaking literally positions you as the leader in the room. Second, public speaking displays a rare leadership competence. A leadership position puts you in front of people. Leaders are expected to stand up and speak all of the time. If you count group meetings, trainings, saying some opening words at an event, a question and answer session, this could be a daily activity where you stand up and speak. That's why it's a sought-after skill that leaders are expected to have. But most people actively avoid public speaking. So when you do it well, you're demonstrating to everybody that you already possess that leadership competence. And there are a lot of parts to that. You're showing people you know how to research, prepare, organize your thoughts, make good visual aids perhaps, choose the right words, and animate your message in a way that engages listeners. Not everybody has that skill set. And even if you don't have an official leadership position yet, public speaking allows you to show off those skills. There's an old joke, how many good public speakers are there in most marketing departments? And the answer is none, because all of the good public speakers have been promoted. Now, it's not a funny joke, but there's some truth to that. I've seen people get promoted because of public speaking on multiple occasions. I used to work at a .com internet type company a long time ago, and one day I attended a training session about how to use Microsoft Word more efficiently. The in-house presenter was awesome. Her presentation skills were smooth, confident, comfortable. I just assumed that she was a trainer, supervisor, or even director from some other department. As it turns out, she was one of the company's newest employees. She had no supervisory responsibilities yet. I got to know her and she told me that she always volunteers to do in-house trainings. She enjoys presenting, but she realized it also was a great way to get promoted. About 6 months later, she was already promoted to a supervisory role, and she skipped over lots of people who had been there longer than her. In a similar situation, I worked one-on-one with a client on a big presentation. She said to me, look, I'm stuck in my current role. I really want to get this presentation right because it's an opportunity for me to gain some visibility. So we spent some extra time making sure she was really ready. About a week later, she told me that immediately after the presentation, a high-level leader approached her and encouraged her to apply for a management position opening in his department. He said directly, we have a leadership opening that I think you'd be a great fit for. Public speaking demonstrates a rare and sought-after leadership competence. The trick is to do it before you're even an official leader so you get noticed sooner. Third, public speaking demonstrates courage and initiative. These are also important leadership qualities. Most people have public speaking anxiety. They don't like the spotlight. They don't like taking that risk. But if you think about it, if you can't handle doing a presentation in front of people, will the high-level decision makers really believe that you're ready to handle other pressures of leadership? In contrast, if you are volunteering to stand up and speak, that alone says something about your self-confidence, your initiative, your can-do spirit. People notice that type of courage. Public speaking shows that you're not held back by insecurities or fears. You can handle pressure. You can face challenges. It's like a leadership test in a way. If you can do public speaking, then other people will believe you have what it takes to tackle other aspects of leadership. Fourth, public speaking demonstrates and shares your expertise. This works equally well, whether you're giving an in-house presentation or one to an outside audience. You're sharing your specific subject matter expertise and knowledge. If you're doing a presentation on website development, you're demonstrating that you have website expertise. If you're talking about how to fix a diesel engine, you're demonstrating that expertise. When you stand up and speak, you're establishing yourself as an authority on your subject. Now here's a question. Do other people know what you know? Probably. Do some people maybe know even more? Sure. But if they don't share what they know in a presentation or in some other way, their knowledge only stays in their head. So by giving a presentation, you're sharing what you know for all to see. Now your knowledge doesn't just benefit you. Your expertise is benefiting everybody. You're making yourself more valuable by communicating what you know. The impact is almost immediate. I did an in-house presentation a while back at the college where I teach. I spoke to the entire leadership team of about 100 of the top full-time leaders working on campus. I shared my expertise. And in the weeks that followed that presentation, I was approached by numerous leaders across campus asking if I could meet with them to help them through an important issue. I shared my expertise in a presentation, and it instantly gave me more influence and leadership on campus. And not long after that, I was asked if I'd be interested in a higher level leadership role. I know professionals in software, insurance, even plumbing, and the main reason they do presentations is to establish themselves as the expert. They know it almost automatically leads to more influence and generates more business. People want to listen to experts, and sharing your expertise will establish you as a leader. Fifth, public speaking demonstrates your persuasiveness. When you stand up and speak, your voice is leading the discussion and bringing people along. As a leader, you will constantly need to persuade other people to pursue the vision that you're casting, work toward a goal, and stay motivated. A persuasive speaker will often have to convince people and change minds or change their actions. These skills are one and the same as leadership. Think of all those halftime locker room movie scenes and in TV shows where the coach is talking to his discouraged players, but he convinces them to dig deep. He shows them that they can win this thing, and they charge out of that locker room like a brand new team to face the second half of the game. Motivating people to take action is inseparable from leadership. Your persuasiveness also puts your point of view out there generally. I don't like the term thought leadership, I have to admit that, but that's sort of how this works. When you state your position, support your argument with persuasive evidence, and get people thinking in a new way, you can change things in your organization or community. When you change people's minds, they're following your point of view. When you're doing a presentation, you are leading them through that process. And when you're a leader, bringing people along persuasively is a daily activity. A friend of mine used to have an office right outside of the CEO's office at his company. My friend overheard that CEO explain the company's vision about 100 times as the CEO met with potential clients or was looking to recruit other high-level executives. The leader was constantly persuading and motivating people. And when you show people that you have this persuasive skill in presentation, other people will recognize your persuasiveness as a key leadership quality because it's part of every leader's job description in daily life. Let's look at all 5 of these. Which of these ring true for you? If these 5 connections between public speaking and leadership don't motivate you to get serious about your public speaking, then I don't know what will. Public speaking can be like an express elevator for your career and your leadership development.
So that was Professor Alex Lyons, public speaking and leadership. Just want to reflect on one word that he used, and it was called public speaking anxiety. And we all have this until we know how to overcome such anxiety. And if we were to build our articulation skills, that would be a very positive way of overcoming our public speaking anxiety. What does it call for? It calls for fluency, clarity of speech. Again, as I said, whether it is in our national language, it is in English, Mandarin, Tamil, you name it. It's basically clarity of speech. You leave no room in the mind of the listener as to what you require or the message that you're getting across. Right? It comes through really clearly. What is enunciation? It's a big sounding word, but it's how clearly you sound. That's all. It's to do with your voice. Do you have a voice that you can project? And that when you speak in a room, that doesn't have a microphone system, can you be heard at the very end? So it is to do with voice power, the clarity with which we use our voice. Then of course, pronunciation. Now this is how to sound the word correctly in accordance with a set of rules. For the English language, any Oxford Cambridge dictionary that you pick up, you will find in the early pages an IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet. It's to do with symbols that gives you an idea of how you should sound your words. So be familiar with that. And I've always had this reference, and I'd like to share this with you. If you really want to pick up on your pronunciation in the English language, whether it's English or you wish to brush up on your American, think of this link, www.dictionary.cambridge.org. You can have a try at lunchtime or at tea time, all right? But here is one really concrete way to brush up on your pronunciation skills. And of course, reading. The more you and I read, the better. We expand our vocabulary, we expand our command of the language, we improve our grammar, and so on and so forth, all right? And voice development. Lots of exercise. Just go and visit a guy called Mr. Google, and he'll show you how to develop your voice. All right? So that's articulation, and I want to leave you with this part. You know, a very famous American author, Ralph Waldo Emerson, said, if the tongue had not been framed for articulation, man would still be a beast in the forest. All right? So we've got the means to be articulate. We have the means to be articulate leaders. We just have got to make use of this organ called the tongue. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Edwin. And now, I think by now you know, right? When Sarah Lee comes in, there's exercise. So exercise 3. Using word power effectively. Okay. So this is what I propose. We will do divide and conquer. Right? So the first row here, okay, the first row meaning all 4 tables, I will be assigning you to affirm. Okay? That's your word for the day. Okay? So affirm. But in particular, what words would you use when a team member gives a creative solution to a problem? How would you affirm? Make sense? Okay. Now I go to the second row over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is your word? Appreciate. Appreciate. And here is the context. A colleague, how will you appreciate a colleague who helps you resolve a complex engineering problem? Of course, if you don't like engineering, you could just go with problem, right? So, how would you appreciate a colleague who helped you resolve a problem? This row over here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yours is activate. And then you go, I wish I just got appreciate, no? Yeah, but yours is activate. I have nothing to do with it, okay? Activate is you're addressing the project team that you are supposed to lead. You're addressing the project team. What words will you use to activate? Fourth row, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yours is admonish. It's getting more complicated, right? You can do it. I have full trust and confidence in all of you. Admonish when a subordinate yelled and used abusive words in an argument. How will you admonish? Remember, there's Google to help us with better before Google, huh? Can we just use our own power, right? Now, what words will you use to admonish? Now, everybody who is not there, okay, who is not in front, you have acknowledge. And what is the context? You are giving your farewell address to your staff before taking up a new appointment. How will you acknowledge? Does that make sense, everyone? Acknowledge everyone else who is not part of the other groups. Now, you can discuss that, but this is what we will do. Okay. We actually have a 20-minute break coming. Okay. So we can maximize the time. I leave it to the groups. You can take 15-minute break now, come back 5 minutes. Come back after 15 minutes. Or if you still want to finish this, finish it first and then go for a 15-minute break afterwards. Does that make sense? We need to be back by 3:25. Yeah. You'll be back by 3:25. I will see you back here. Okay.